Every essay, if it's following standard form, will have an introduction. In this tutorial, we'll look at what should and shouldn't go into the introductory section of an argumentative essay. To write a good introduction, you need to know what functions an introduction is supposed to serve. An introduction has several distinct functions, but they all come down to making life easier for readers. First, an introduction needs to tell the reader what the general subject matter of the essay is, what the issue is that you'll be discussing in the essay. Second, unless the issue is well known to everyone in your audience, you might also need to provide additional background information to help explain and set up the issue. How much background will depend on the issue and what you can assume about your intended audience. The key is that when you do finally state your main thesis, the reader has a good idea of what you're saying and what the issue is about. That gets us to the third function, to state your main thesis. By main thesis, all we mean is the conclusion of the overall argument of the essay, what you're trying to argue for. One of the most common problems with student essays is a failure to be clear about what the main thesis of the essay is. This needs to be stated as clearly as possible in the introduction, before you get into the main body. Finally, if your argument has any kind of complexity to it at all, then it can be very helpful to let the reader know what to expect in the remainder of the essay, how it's going to be structured and organized. You can think of it as providing a roadmap or plan or outline of how the argument is going to proceed. For smaller, simpler essays, these roadmaps may not be vital, but they become more and more important for both the reader and the essay writer as an essay becomes longer and more complicated. Something to watch out for if you're going to give a roadmap of this kind is to make sure that you actually do in the essay what you said you would do in the introduction. The introduction sets up expectations for the reader, and you want to do your best to fulfill those expectations. That's what goes into the introductory section of an argumentative essay. It's also important to remember that what doesn't go in. Another common mistake that students make with introductions is to begin describing arguments or providing other kinds of information that really belong in the main body of the essay. The introduction is for setting up the main argument, providing background and context so the reader is prepared to understand and follow the arguments in the main body. But that's it. Once you start giving premises and considering objections that pertain to the main thesis of your essay, you're not introducing your essay anymore. One last point. In essay writing guides, people will often refer to the introductory paragraph of the essay. It's true that sometimes you can state what you need to state in one paragraph, especially if the essay is short and simple, but more often you'll need more than one paragraph to introduce the issue, state your thesis, and sketch the outline for the essay. So it's more accurate and more helpful to talk about the introductory section of an essay, where it's understood that this introductory section can include more than one paragraph.